The air between them grew thick with silence. She had spoken the words so plainly, without hesitation, without remorse. At first, he thought she was angry, that maybe this was a passing moment of frustration, something that could be undone with time. But as days turned into weeks, it became clear she meant it. So he made a decision of his own. If she won't be a wife to me, I won't be a husband to her. It started with the small things. He stopped asking if she needed anything when he went to the store. He no longer fixed things around the house when they broke. When her car battery died, he watched her struggle with the cables and didn't move to help. When she had trouble lifting a heavy box, he sat on the couch, flipping through channels. She noticed. At first, she ignored it, perhaps thinking he was just being lazy. But then, one evening, she came into the living room and stared at him. "You didn't take out the trash," she said. He looked up at her, expression blank. "I don't see why I should." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Because it's your responsibility." He leaned back, folding his arms. "And intimacy was yours." A flicker of something passed over her face, shock, maybe, or realization. She turned and walked away. But the tension only grew. They began living in the same house as strangers. Meals were eaten separately, conversations reduced to necessity. The love that had once filled their home now felt like a ghost, something that had been there once but had long since departed. Then something unexpected happened. One evening, she struggled to open a jar of pasta sauce. Normally, he would have taken it from her hands, opened it effortlessly, and handed it back. But now, he just watched. She tried again, frustration evident, until she finally slammed it on the counter and stormed off. Later that night, he found the jar still sitting there, unopened. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. Days passed, and the war of silence continued. She had once relied on his quiet acts of love, the little things he did without thinking, the way he made sure her car had gas, the way he reached for her hand when they crossed the street. Now, she had to navigate life without them. Then, one night, she broke. "I don't understand what you're trying to prove," she said, standing in the doorway of their bedroom. He was lying in bed, reading. He didn't look up. "I think you do. You're punishing me." He finally met her gaze. "No, I'm just treating you the way you treat me." She exhaled, shaking her head. "That's not the same thing, isn't it?" She hesitated. I just needed space." "Space is one thing," he said. "Cutting me off completely is another." A long silence stretched between them. Then, softly, she said, "I didn't think it would hurt you this much." He swallowed, turning his attention back to his book. It did. She lingered there, as if debating whether to say more. But in the end, she turned and left. That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Maybe this was just a power struggle, or maybe it was something deeper. Maybe their marriage had already died, and this was just the slow, bitter aftermath. And maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance to fix it. But neither of them knew how.